everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night live success tip, live right here on the Destiny Global Facebook page. My name is Carmen, and I'm like super duper excited to be spending some time with you tonight, discussing tonight's success tip, which is going to be a huge success tip that no matter where you're at, whether you are an employee working for an employer, or whether you're an employee and you have employees, or even maybe you're a solopreneur, or maybe you are a, budding entrepreneur with a side hustle that you just started, or maybe you haven't even started the side hustle yet, or you haven't started the business yet, but there's the dream and the hope of someday. What we're going to talk about tonight is something I have used literally at every stage inside of success or lack thereof. And it's something that every single person listening tonight can start using, can start applying, and see results with right away. And that is one of the things I love about the success tips here on Destiny Global. You get to hear from people like Mr. Carmen O'Quinn, who has a huge track record in building business, helping to build people's paychecks, investing. Mr. Ken Brown, who has played a part in Fortune 500 companies, building companies, not only coming in and running divisions, but getting involved in startups and growing it into multi-million-dollar businesses. These are the kind of people that you get to learn from every other week right here on the Destiny Global Facebook page. So if you have not, make sure you like the page. That way you get notified. Listen, I don't know how many people that you have access to that are willing to take the time for free to help give you tips and strategies on you succeeding faster. But right here, that is what this company is passionate about doing, is not only do we have classes, we have paid content, we have events that we do, but we also have free content that is given every other week. We have Coffee with Ken every Thursday here on the channel. And so make sure if you're not, utilize those resources that you have access to, that you have at your fingertips, and it would be really silly not to. And so let's go ahead and dive in. Tonight we're going to be talking about habits. And it's something that I think all of us have probably heard something about. And deep down, all of us probably know that, somewhere in there we could probably have some better habits, or we need some better habits. And sometimes we're aware that we have some bad habits. But one of the things, I think this is one of the areas that is truly, It's truly undervalued. I don't think most people realize how much our habits are dictating and ruling our lives. And so I want to start with what the definition of a habit is. And here's what I will say. First, we form our habits, and then our habits form us. First, we form our habits, and then our habits form our lives. Our life, what we're living today, is a direct result of our current habits. And so if we don't like where we're at financially, if we don't like where we're at in business, if we don't like where we're at in marriage, if we don't like where we're at with our children and our relationships, then we need to not like our habits, because our habits have led us to where we're at. Our life is a sum total of the habits that we currently have. Now, here's the good news. Habits, like none of us popped out of our mama's womb with bad habits. Right? We just didn't. We did not pop out of the womb with the bad habits that we're going to talk about. And so we've learned them over time. The good news is, because we've learned them, we can also relearn, and we can adapt or adopt better habits. So the definition of a habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice. Actions that we do involuntarily without even thinking. Like driving, for example. We have lots of everyday habits, right? But take driving, for example. When we first started driving, before it was a habit, before it was something we did involuntarily without thinking, it was 10 and 2. We checked our mirror, we checked, seatbelt on. We so slowly put it into drive. Back then, nothing was here. It was all down here. And we were just intentional, right? Because we didn't have this familiarity with it. We didn't have the habit of doing it. Now, how many of you can remember getting someplace, driving someplace, and you get there and you're like, you don't even remember how you got there. You don't even remember a part of the drive. It's because you have done it so much that it is now on autopilot. It's now on autopilot. But I want to go back for a second. I hope you picked up on this. In the beginning, driving was not on autopilot. In the beginning, driving was white-knuckled for some of us, 10 and 2. It was very conscious. It was very uncomfortable. It was very nerve-wracking. Some stress came with it, some worry, some anxiety, maybe some excitement when you accelerated. So there was all these emotions tied with driving. We couldn't wait to get in the car and drive. We couldn't wait to go somewhere. If, mom or dad needed bread or milk from the store, I'll do it. I'll go do it. Like brother and sister needed to be ran somewhere, I'll do it. Like we were so excited, the thrill, the exhilaration of learning something new, the nerves. But now we get in and do it without even thinking, on autopilot, all right? But I hope you caught that correlation. What once was nerve-wracking, unfamiliar, maybe cause some stress and anxiety, some exhilaration, some excitement, some unknown. We weren't great at it in the beginning. Can you remember trying to back up for the first time? Like which way to turn the wheel? Oh my goodness. We just didn't know what we were doing. Now we can do without even thinking. Some of you can, listen to your Audible workbook or your Audible book. You can eat a Big Mac and drive at the same freaking time and go through your to-do list. Like we just do it without even thinking, all right? So a habit, a settled regular tendency, or practice with actions that we do involuntarily. So some of them would be, obviously driving is one of them. Most of the time, our morning or what time we get up has become a habit. We've settled into a habit. Working out, for those of us that work out or that don't work out, those are both habits. I've had the habit of I used to have a habit in college of sleeping till noon. All my classes did not start until later. And so I developed a habit of sleeping late, maybe not till noon, but at least till 10. Then one day I said, okay, I'm gonna actually, after reading several books and following some successful people, it was like, no, I actually want to develop the habit of waking up early. And so now I have the habit of getting up when it's dark every single day, except for one day a week. And so, everything is really what our habits are. This thing right here, this has become a habit for a lot of us. This cell phone has become a habit. How much time we spend on it, how much time we don't, when we check notifications, when we don't, checking social media, all that has become habits. We do it without even thinking. Most of you probably go into your phone, you open up your Instagram, you open up your Facebook app, and you don't even think about doing it. My 2-year-old knows where Disney is. She does. She can go to the TV. She can go to my phone. She can find and it's not even like she's on it that much. But that one, Minnie Mouse, it's Mickey Mouse in 2-year-old speak. All right. Fast food, eating fast food, a habit. Not great for you, but delicious habit, right? I used to have this habit. I'm sure some of you have this habit. Driving, we talked about that, has become a habit. So first we form our habits, and then our habits form us. When I had the habit of fast food, okay, all of our habits lead somewhere. They lead us somewhere. And up to 50% of our day, studies have shown that anywhere from 40 to 50% of our day is filled with habits. That means 50% of our day is on autopilot. We don't even think about it. We're just doing. No intention, just doing. So think about that. If 50% of our day is filled with habits, things we don't even think about, and then how much time we spend the other, 25% of our day sleeping? So if 50% of our day is habits, 25% of our day is sleeping, it leaves only 25% of our day where we're not just going through the motions, where we're actually thinking about what we're doing. Maybe, because some of that time could be, vegging out on TV, whatever it is. But the point is, it's very hard to have success if only 25% of our day isn't sleeping or based on habits. Things that we involuntarily do without thinking. So most people's day is spent on auto freaking pilot, not even thinking. And this is why our habits are so important. This is why our habits matter so much, because first we form our habits and then our habits form us. But what most people do is they defend their habits saying, well, that's just how I am. That's just how I do it. That's just what I do. And what I'm going to tell you is if you want to succeed in life, it's getting beyond the point of that's just how I am and that's just what I do. It's actually taking responsibility of where we're at and saying, is this where I want to be? Is this all there is to life, or is there more? Am I capable of more? And to get a change, if you want a change in your finances, if you want a change in your marriage, if you want a change in your business, how many clients you have, how many students you have, how much business revenue that your company does, if you want to change in the size of your booty, the size of your backside, the size of your bicep, the size of your tricep, the size of your gut, if you want to change, then you've got to be willing to make a change. The definition of insanity is throwing a bunch of crap against the wall and hoping something sticks, all right? So we're going to go through 5 points that you can start doing today to start making changes with your habits. And here's what's so funny, as somebody who has dedicated my life to helping people transform their lives, whether it's through one-on-one coaching that I do, group coaching, live events, whatever it is, I'm very passionate about this. And so often when I'm working with clients, they have these like uphill hopes. They have these uphill hopes of where they want their life to be, hopes of what the future is, hopes of what tomorrow will bring, but we have these downhill habits. So do you see where that can cause a mismatch? Do you see where that can cause like uphill hopes, uphill goals, uphill dreams, and downhill habits? So the first thing that we have to do when it comes to making a change and hitting our goals in life is really figuring out, what do we want? Asking yourself the question, and this is a question that I ask myself all the time, if failure wasn't an option, what would my marriage look like? If failure wasn't an option, what would my business look like? If failure wasn't an option, what would our family life look like? If failure wasn't an option, what would our finances look like? So it's literally looking at every area in our life and saying, if failure wasn't an option, what would it look like? So you want to first and foremost recognize, what do you want to do? What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are your hopes? What are your visions? What is the vision for your future while you're on this planet? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to leave the planet? What's going to be your legacy when you're gone? Because we're all leaving at some point, all right? So that's number 1, is what is your goals? What do you want to accomplish, all right? The second thing you want to do is you want to look at and you want to identify, what are the bad habits that I have, and make no mistake, we all have them. We all have them. The reason we're at where we're at is because of our bad habits, the things we do involuntarily every single day without even thinking, all right? So what are the bad habits that I have that are keeping me stuck? What are the things I do without even thinking about it? What are the involuntary things I do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that are keeping me stuck, that are pulling me further away from my goals versus propelling me closer to them? And I want to give you some examples of what some of those might be, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, I don't think I'm that bad. And then all of a sudden I'll start like actually doing a deep dive into like the habits, and I'm like, oh man, I suck. But that's okay. We all start off sucking, just for the record. We don't like to suck. Our human nature, none of us like to suck. but we all start off sucking. And by the way, every time you get to a new level in business, just F to the Y to the I, you start off sucking. You always start off in the bottom 80%. You ever played a video game before? And like, I'm not a big video gamer, but I can remember Mario Brothers on the original Nintendo. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you are clueless. That's okay. I am an 80s child, so you know. I can remember like getting to a level, and all of a sudden I was like it took me a bazillion times to beat one level, and I'd get to the next level and I would suck. I would be so bad. I would die like right away. And through playing that level, I got better. But in the beginning, I didn't like the new level. In the beginning, I wanted to go back to the old level because I was good at it, because I could beat it, because I was comfortable with it. It didn't feel good to all of a sudden go from a level that I could do with my eyes shut to sucking at the new level, to getting stomped by the little muncher people or the flying suns or the little fish or whatever it was. So, you know, every time we up level to a new place in business, we always start off in the bottom 80%, but through sucking, through stinking, we learn, and we eventually, if we keep going and we don't quit and we develop the right habits, we eventually wind up in that top 20%. We don't stay in the bottom 80%. All right. That was just a little side bonus. Okay, so some areas that we could maybe have some bad habits. Starting the week slow. Maybe we start off Monday and Tuesday and we don't get warmed up until Wednesday. And by Wednesday, now we're like in go mode, but we're already behind. So we feel like we're running behind the whole week. Procrastinating. Those two kind of go together, by the way. Maybe we are a, really good procrastinator. Maybe we put off till tomorrow what we could do today. Maybe we're mismanaging our time. Maybe we're wasting our time. Spending too much time on social media. Spending too much time on TV, spending too much time organizing the same papers over and over again, spending too much time, on things that aren't going to get you to your goal. Chasing perfection. This is a really bad habit, chasing perfection. It's about progress, not perfection, but a habit is wanting everything to be perfect, not getting started until things are perfect, not moving on until things are perfect. That's not a good habit. Micromanaging people, not trusting people to get the job done because you're the only one that can do it good enough. Bad habit. Listening to the wrong people, taking the wrong advice, actually listening to someone who doesn't have what you want. It's a good habit. It's a good habit to ask advice. It's a good habit to listen, but to make sure you're listening to the right people. All right. Another bad habit, stretching yourself too thin. Okay, taking on too much, saying yes to everything. Saying yes to everything. Making excuses versus making results. Multitasking, come on now, come on. This is hilarious to me. And I have to fight against this. So in today's world, you'll see people, not this personal one, but this next one. So you'll see people multitasking constantly, driving and on the phone. Watching TV and on the phone. Watching a TV show in one form of entertainment isn't enough. We got to pull out this little freaker and we've got to get on this while we're watching TV because we got to multitask, right? You're not going to do two things at one time amazing. You got to pick one. Even Michael Jordan, who was the best basketball player, in my personal opinion, that has ever played, who has ever lived, he went and tried to do baseball and he was okay at baseball. He wasn't bad. He wasn't shabby, better than average, but he wasn't great. So you might be able to do two things okay. If you're an overachiever, you might even be able to do two things good, but you can't do two things at one time great. You just can't. If you spread your focus too thin, the areas are going to start suffering. So people pleasing, another bad habit. Being unteachable. I know it all. I got it all figured out. Bad habit. Fear of failure. That's another bad habit. Failing to plan. Just flying by the seat of your pants. Figuring it out as you go. Quitting. This is a horrible habit. Quitting. Because you'll never accomplish anything if you quit. If you haven't hit a hard spot yet in your business, just because you haven't gone high enough, you haven't gotten to the high enough levels yet. Because there's a point where there's always a hard in everything, and it's pushing through that hard where you actually start really, really reaching your goals the next level. Negative self-talk, horrible habit. Waiting till the perfect time, beating yourself up, over-promising, exaggerating, bad habit. Gossip, talking about other people, tearing people down. Not learning, not moving forward. Failure to delegate, doing it all yourself. Having no goals. Reacting, being reactive versus proactive, overreacting, not listening, being a responder instead of a listener. No time off, overworking, thinking you have to work 80 to 90 hours a week to do your goals. These are just a short list. And I say short list because come on, we could really talk about hundreds of things. And this is a short list that I see most of my clients doing when it comes to business. These are the biggest things that used to stop me in the past and that I know to stop most of my clients when we're working together. And so it's recognizing what are the bad habits. And I would just start with, what is my biggest one? Okay. What is my biggest bad habit that is stopping me right now? Whether it's procrastination, whether it's bad time management, whether it's people pleasing, whether it's fear of failure, whether it's, for some of us, it's this right here. We're not getting work done because we're on this, looking at someone else's feeds on Instagram too much. And so it's recognizing the bad habits, okay? And you can make a list. That's what I did. And then it's taking and figuring out, okay, so because if we're going to get rid of a bad habit, we've got to put something in its place. If you don't put something in its place, the bad thing will come back or something else will always take its place. It will never just stay in open space. So for instance, if you want to lose weight and you're going to cut out fast food, well, what are you going to replace it with? Because if you just cut out fast food and now you're just starving, something else will eventually take its place. And so when I get an urge for fast food, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to have an apple in my car. I'm going to have a protein bar. I'm going to have a bottle of water. There's got to be if you're taking out a bad habit, you've got to replace it with something. So that's number 3 is what habit am I going to replace this good one with? So like, for instance, with my phone, this used to be a distraction in my workouts, in my workday, time with my husband, time with my kids. This sucker was a distraction everywhere. And so it began of, okay, I'm going to take out the habit of being on my phone when I'm spending time with my husband, when I'm with my kids, when I'm working. But sometimes I will use my phone for stuff. So it's like, okay, I can either just leave my phone in a cupboard or in a drawer, or I can turn it on airplane mode. And when I turn it on airplane mode, I can use my phone, but I don't get any notifications. I don't see any of those. And so what I started doing is I added the habit of putting my phone on airplane mode, which helped me. There's also apps like there's this forest app or something like that where it actually tracks the inactivity on your phone. And for so much inactivity, it'll plant a seed, you can grow a tree. And it's kind of cool because you can actually like see, oh wow, I've been off of my phone. Like, yay, this phone hasn't been consuming my life. And so if you, depending on what your goals are, if you know that you're a procrastinator and you start the week slow, maybe the new habit is Monday's your busiest day. Maybe you actually write out your schedule to make sure I get 60% of my work done on Monday and Tuesday. When I look at my whole week, 60% of my workload is in the first 2 days of the week. The rest of the 40% is then spread out. 60% the first 2 days. I get it done. Why? Because I don't want to spend the rest of the week playing catch up, feeling like I'm behind, chasing my tail, being frustrated, being in a hurry. And so it's taking those bad habits and replacing them, taking the habits that are not going to get you to your goal and replacing them with ones that will. Okay. And number 4 is do one at a time. Do one at a time. I know some of you are like listening to this list and some of you it makes super happy and you're like, yes, I'm going to do them all now. And then some of you, this is extremely overwhelming. For you to think of all your bad habits, it's like, whoa, I've got a lot of work to do. Yes, welcome to the club. We all do. If we all didn't have a lot of work to do, we would all have hit all of our goals. So the sign that we all have a lot of work to do yet is we haven't reached all of our goals. And that's okay, right? That's okay. But you should not try to tackle this whole list. How do you eat an elephant? And this list is an elephant. You eat it one bite at a time. So you're going to pick one thing. You're going to pick one habit that you're going to tackle this month. One. And for some of you, that's a relief. For some of you, you're like, that's it. One. I want to get to my goals like rapido, Carmen, underlay. Like, let's go. I got places to go, people to see. I understand. But if you focus on too many things, you'll do nothing. But if you focus on one habit a month, that means at the end of the year, you have developed 12 good habits. 12 good habits a year is freaking huge because most people never really do one. And so pick out which one is going to make the biggest difference. What's the biggest bad habit that's stopping you from hitting your goal? And what's the one thing you're going to put in its place to start getting towards your goal? And then you do that consistently for a month. And then next month you add another one. And then you do both of those consistently. And then the next month you add a third one. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do too much too fast. And then the fifth and final point is to do analysis on this. When I say do analysis, what I mean by is a monthly analysis of where you're at. To do a checkup, to make sure you're on track. To do a checkup to make sure you haven't slipped back into old habits. To do a checkup to say, are my daily activity, which 50% is made up of your habits, does my daily activity line up with where I want to go? Are the things I'm doing every single day going to get me to where I want to go? Because it's either moving you towards your goal or away from your goal. There's no such thing as staying the same. You're moving forwards or you're moving backwards, but you're not staying the same. And it's so freaking easy to slip back into bad habits. One of my mentors one time, she did a thing where, whether you know it or not, another habit you have is when you put your shoes on, you don't even think about it. Involuntary action, you put one foot in first. You either put your left foot in first or you put your right foot in first. Well, for her, she put her left foot in first. She always put her shoes on and put her left foot in first. And she wanted to change that habit. She, instead of putting her left foot in first, she wanted to put her right foot in first. And so every single day she started making a conscious decision. I'm going to put my right foot in first. I'm going to put my right foot in first. She fought the involuntary action of her left foot going in, and she purposely put her right foot in first. It took her like 3 months to get to the point where her right foot went in first without even thinking about it. It took her 3 months to change that habit of her left foot first to the right foot first. 3 months. She did it for like a year or something like that. And then all of a sudden she said, okay, I'm done with that. She switched back to her left. Do you know it took her less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks to go back and be complete to where her left foot was going on first. So she successfully changed the habit. She successfully succeeded in changing the habit from her left foot going in first to her right foot. But when she stopped focusing on it, that old habit came back. It took her 90 days to change it. It only took 14 to revert back. And so old habits can be sneaky little suckers. And so it's our job, just like our vehicles. You know, our vehicles, it's our job to make sure they get a regular oil change. It's our job to make sure we check the tire pressure, to make sure we check the fluids, to make sure we do the maintenance on the car so that it stays running properly. You can have a $100,000 car, a $200,000 Lamborghini, and it can be all that and a bag of chips. But if we don't do the maintenance to make sure it's running properly, it can end up broken down, not running, not performing the way it's supposed to. And we're the same way. And so it's really important to look. I do this on a monthly basis and say, okay, are there any habits that are sneaking in that are keeping me from reaching my goals? If I have a goal to have a great marriage, but I'm snapping at my husband, I don't want to spend time with him. This has become more important than him. I'm constantly on this when I should be spending time with him. My habits, I might have high hopes for a good marriage, but my habits are going to lead me to knocking on divorce's doorstep if this is more important than my husband. And so when you do those 5 things, when you recognize what your goals are, you figure out what habits you currently have that are stopping you from hitting your goals. Then you figure out what habits you need to get to those goals. What habits do I need to have a good marriage? What things do I need to be doing every day to build a good business? And listen, you guys know the answers. We know the answers. We know that to get to have a good marriage, we should probably nag less and encourage more. We know that there needs to be some intimacy. We know that we should encourage more than we criticize. But if we have a habit of criticizing, we do it without even thinking. Some of you guys are not, you just critique a lot. It's because it's become a habit. So until you replace that habit of being critical with the habit of being encouraging, do you see my point? Do you see what I'm saying? Are you tracking with me? Man, I feel like we could literally talk about this habit thing all night. All night. I wish we had like 6 hours together to really dive into this thing. But just with what I gave you tonight, listen, this is a start. And if you start working on this now, tonight, tomorrow, as soon as you're listening to this, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're going to start seeing changes. And it's not going to happen overnight. Why? Because Rome wasn't built in a day. You didn't get here overnight. This is years and years and years. And for some of us, decades of developing this stuff. But the only way it's going to change is if we consciously, purposely make a change. If we decide that our habits have to change. And so let me know in the comments, what is one habit that doesn't line up with where you're going? What is one habit that you're like, this has to change now? This has been here long enough and it's got to go. It's got to go. Bye-bye. And so anyway, thank you so much for watching. We do have First Steps to Success coming up this weekend. You can grab your virtual ticket. We still have some virtual tickets left. We're going to have some really exciting announcements coming out at this event. So for those of you that are attending, you're going to get to hear some things first. And then the rest of the network will hear it, the rest of the database, the rest of the clientele. We will make sure that we come onto the Facebook page. We let you know what's going on as well. But those of you that are going to be with me this weekend live via virtual ticket, you're going to get to hear first about some of the exciting news that's taking place at Destiny Global, some of the exciting things we have rolling out, launching to really help you succeed quicker, faster, have more fulfillment in your life, more relationships, become the #1 recommended person that it is at whatever it is you do, to have more peace, more freedom, and for you to truly be living the life that you want to be living instead of one that you've just settled for. And so I fully look forward to seeing those of you that are going to be with us live this weekend via virtual ticket. And yeah, we'll be back live on the channel in 2 weeks with another success tip. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.